Halfway through 2026. I swear, I know a lot of people talk about how time is flying by and that it's moving faster now than it used to. And you don't want to jump on the train of just like, it does feel like that. It does sound like that. But it does. I can't believe it's already June. And we're in for a hell of a summer. We are absolutely in for a hell of a summer. When you see all the shit that they have planned and all the stuff that's unfolding right now, we are absolutely in for a hell of a summer. If you've seen the teen takeovers where you have all these youths going in and just destroying peaceful areas, the beach, malls, streets, and just acting like complete animals, jumping on cars, twerking on cars, just complete and utter animals. And they just did one down in Florida where they just took over the whole beach area. People pay a lot of money to go on vacation. People pay a lot of money to drive and to try to get some sort of sense of humanity where they can feel connected to nature. And they pay money for gas and food and hotels to go to spend the weekend at the beach or to go spend some time at the beach, only to have it ruined by fucking animals. It's horrific. I mean, you have groups of them walking into stores and just stealing bags and bags of shit and walking out. Cavaliers couldn't be more casual, couldn't be more nonchalant, just robbing thousands upon thousands of dollars of merchandise. And then they wonder and they complain about why the state of the country is as it is. Everything's a shithole. Well, you make it a shithole. Your behavior, your shitty behavior makes everything else suffer. It's unfortunate. It's crazy the stuff we're seeing. Israel's still doing Israel. The stuff they're doing to the Palestinian people and the fact that all of our politicians support it is so utterly disgusting. And they're talking about merging the US and Israeli militaries, kind of combining them, so to speak. There are no words to express how I feel when I look at America and what it is and what it's exporting to the world and what it supports and what the fact that adults, only in age, not in spirituality or in psychology, but adults literally are giving their energy and their money to politicians only to watch them rape this country and to destroy it and to burn it down from within. Our infrastructure is a joke. We have been held back deliberately for over a century with regard to transportation, with regard to healthcare. Well, healthcare since the beginning of time. I mean, human beings are natural beings that are symbiotic with this, have a symbiotic relationship with this earth. So your medicine comes from this earth, not from a needle, not from a pill. It comes from fruit, it comes from herbs, it comes from clean water and sunshine. It comes from, or clean fruit, clean vegetables. We literally eat food that the people on the farms, when growing and spraying the food, wear hazmat suits pretty much to spray them with harmful chemicals. And then we turn around and we feed it to our kids and we feed it to ourselves and we see cancer skyrocketing and, oh, I wonder why. It's not all the poisons that we ingest. It's not the injections, it's not the carcinogens in the food, it's not the preservatives in the food. It's just random. We don't know why everybody has cancer all of a sudden. Anyway, that's not the whole point of this. I just started out hot because I just saw another video of one of these takeovers, and it's just infuriating. When you look at Paris, look at the riots in Paris right now. When you think of Paris, when you think of the Eiffel Tower and the architecture and the culture and the beauty, and it's a complete and utter third world shithole. London, third world shithole. Major cities in Germany and Sweden, third world shitholes. Belgium, third world shithole. It's unbelievable what we're dealing with and what we're allowing to happen. It's hard to watch because The spirit of Western civilization is dying, and it's not about being black-pilled, it's about being honest. We're just watching the invasion of every single one of our countries. I mean, for God's sakes, look at Spain. Hundreds of thousands pouring in from Africa. Spain, you think of architecture, you think of cuisine, you think of the absolute beauty that that culture has given, that those people have given throughout history. Destroyed. When I was there, graffiti and all the beautiful buildings, and everything is just degenerate. The people are degenerate, the women are absolutely lost and degenerate, and then the young men are just as lost. But again, I don't just want to sit here and bitch about what's going on, because there are solutions to it, but the solution is one that we know is very difficult for human beings to undertake. A quote that I think about a lot is, when you avoid shadow work, you condemn the world. I believe that's from Tessarion, and it's years and years and years ago when I heard that, and I've thought about it ever since on a regular basis. If you avoid shadow work, if you avoid introspection, if you avoid deep thought and solitude, and objectively stepping outside of yourself and watching and observing your own behavior, your own thought patterns, what you support, what you believe, your worldview. If you avoid all of that, you condemn the world to your bullshit. You condemn the world to your weaknesses, to your triviality, to your mundane fucking existence that you refuse to absolutely honor and live as a strong moral man or a strong moral woman, a sovereign spiritual being. When you live as an automaton, when you live as a regurgitator, you're condemning the world, because all you're allowing is evil to win. Because those that are controlling the direction of every single society, specifically Western civilization, they hate you. They hate everything you stand for. They always have and they always will. And their own religious leaders tell you that their Messiah cannot come back until America and Europe and Western civilization is dead. And everyone is enslaved except for them, because they are the chosen people. They tell you this to your face. They say it out loud. And yet no one does a fucking thing. Oh, that's just their religion. Doesn't affect me. Bullshit. Everything we do and everything we say and everything we put our energy to and behind affects the rest of the world. Doesn't matter how woo-woo you think that sounds. It's true. Whether it's something as small as dropping a piece of plastic from a wrapper onto the ground and refusing to pick it up, it affects the world. Supporting politicians absolutely affects the world. It doesn't matter if those politicians give the green light to drop bombs. You are a part of that. You press that button just like they did. Because without you and your support and your energy, they don't exist. We could ignore these pedophiles, these pieces of shit, right out of existence. We could ignore them out of existence. And we could watch them consume each other. Because that's what evil does. Evil consumes, it controls, and it doesn't stop. It doesn't know how to stop. And they would absolutely consume one another if we would just ignore them out of existence. But we cannot do that. Because we have people called police. We have people called soldiers that are willing to do their bidding. Willing to institute tyranny upon their fellow man for a fucking paycheck. For a fucking dollar bill, which means nothing. It's not even real. It's a control mechanism. Fiat currency is a control mechanism. And when you go through the history of what's taken place in the West, it is so easy to see the manipulation and the mind control and the programming and the deliberate destruction of infrastructure so that they can fucking consolidate control. Look at the past 10 years, how many food processing plants have burned down or blown up, how many fucking bridges and roads aren't being replaced. Now you have junkyards going up in flames, just randomly. Why are they doing that? Oh, maybe because in the junkyards there are old cars with car parts that are necessary to keep older, better models still running, because they want every access to an old, reliable car without the tech involved to be removed from choice. They want you to drive their new, shitty, tech-infused, kill switch having, piece of shit, overpriced cars, because it's full control. They can turn your car off at any moment they want. Every new car in 2027 is going to have the kill switch built into it. And then they have all of the AI sensors and the AI cameras watching you. And if you have spoken out against the government, or if you are not up to date on your taxes, or if you haven't taken your required injections, your fucking car won't start. If they think that you're a little bit too excited because there's an emergency and you need to get to your wife or your husband or your kid or a family member or a friend, you need to get there, but your face is displaying excitement and worry, the car won't start. Look at the patents that Ford is putting out. And it's not just Ford. Look at all the EVs, the amount of cameras and the amount of subscriptions and internet that you need to make these things work. It is control, it is not convenience. But unfortunately, the masses and the NPCs of the world have room temperature IQ, and they believe that all this shit's fucking great. I don't have to drive anymore. I don't have to mow my lawn anymore. I don't have to do this little task anymore. AI will do it. A robot will do it. It's control. But you don't know these things. You don't know the truth about the state. You don't know the truth about, understanding that spiritual enemies exist. That the idea of the crabs in the bucket, which is your family or your social circle, that's a very common thing. That you think about, Tsarion's whole presentation on motherhood and all of the amazing psychologists that have talked about parenting. You don't know about these things unless you take part in deep introspective thought and you are curious about the world. No, rather, you're going to be a grown man like I saw this weekend, 40, 50 years old, with your windows rolled down on your little ghetto ride, blaring Little John and Little Wayne as you drive up and down the busiest street downtown so you can be looked at for 2 seconds. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit about you, your car, or your ghetto-ass music. But yet, the problem is you're a 45-year-old white guy that still is stuck in his little thug years when he was 16. It's fucking pathetic. Go to any urban area and just look at the degeneracy, look at the lost eyes, look at the obesity, look at the costumes and the fucking crayon hair and the septum piercings and the lip piercings and the upper lip piercing. We are a fucking disgrace. And we are watching our countries be destroyed for lack of care. And it goes back to two places. You can't hold the blame on the first place, but it is relevant. It goes back to parenting. How were you parented as a child? Who are your parents? And having to admit the truth about that. Because very few of us actually had awake, spiritual, strong, freedom-loving, moral men and women as mothers and fathers. That is the most rare thing in the world. So then you have to ask yourself, have I conducted any level of work on myself? Introspection, shadow work. And it's called shadow work. It's not a shadow job. It doesn't end on Tuesday. It's for the rest of your life. Are you making sure that your mind and your heart and your soul are free of contradiction? That if you say you want to live in a free world, that you behave accordingly. If you want to be strong and you want to be confident and have high self-esteem, that you develop those traits. Shadow work is lifelong. It never ends. And I agree with, someone like Krishnamurti saying that you don't have to read all of these amazing books to understand anything deep about yourself. It helps, and it's nice to get different perspectives and learn from the great minds of the men and women that came before us. But it's not necessary. All you need to do is observe yourself. Observe your behavior, observe your thoughts, and ask yourself, do these align with the things that I say that I want? I want to live in a free world that honors humanity and honors God. Do I live in a way to do that? Be honest. Be honest. it's crazy to see our world just fall apart and all these data centers just going up, even against protests. The flock cameras going up, track and trace everywhere. It's crazy. You think about just a couple years ago, nobody was talking about data centers, and now it's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. Flock cameras. Police showing up to your house now if you're online protesting or trying to form a protest against data centers in the United States of America. You can post something online that is not threatening, that is just trying to make people aware of what's taking place and to form a resistance against it, which is built into the fabric of this country. But the police will show up at your house. Why? Because the police work for the state. They do not protect and serve anyone or anything but the state. And the state, the whole essence of the state can't exist without control. The very essence of the state is control, is censorship, is tyranny, is serfdom, is slavery. There's no argument against that. There's no debate that the whole purpose of government is to control the people. It doesn't exist without control. Every new law they pass, every new tax, everything that they do is about limiting your freedom as a man or woman. That's it. Point blank fucking period. And people are still out there thinking we're going to vote our way out of this. Trump is he's trying real hard. First off, there's a research out there that you got to go down to realize that these people aren't who they say they are. But let's just take it at face value. Trump has done everything. His administration has done everything to show you that they don't give a fuck about this country. They don't give a shit. And to believe that there's a difference between left and the right in 2026, you have the mind, you're blind to the reality of this world. You have the mind of a child. There was never, if you're a 1776, come and take it, don't tread on me American that pretends to care about freedom and love this country, okay, then you must realize that we were never supposed to have political fucking parties, the left versus the right, which is immediately divides half the people against the other half. It's a dialectic. This country has the Bill of Rights. You either follow the Bill of Rights or you don't. And there's common law courts to deal with you accordingly if you choose to violate somebody's rights. There is no right versus left. If you believe that, you are a traitor to this country. You are treasonous yourself, along with your piece of shit politicians that you support. There is no Democrat, Republican. There is the Bill of Rights, fucking period. It's going to be an interesting summer with all of these programmed teenagers being, activated on TikTok and Instagram to cause havoc. You have the absolute invasion of the West still taking place. And they're all fighting aged males. That's what I wish these people would understand that protest against, are that, we have to help everybody. These are fighting aged males. And look at the number of rapes that have taken place since this has all started. Just go back to the year 2000. In the West, count the number of rapes. The numbers are not accurate, but the ones that we are given are still fucking insane. Nobody wants to talk about it. There's numbers out there that you can look at just from, in our country alone, black on white violence versus the reverse, white on black. It will blow your mind. And these numbers aren't even accurate because the FBI and the police, they actually fudge the numbers, and they include a lot of Hispanics and Asians in the white category when they are not supposed to be. So the numbers of those are actually higher than they are supposed to be. But when you look at the number of black male on white woman rape versus the reverse, your jaw will hit the floor. You will try to understand how this is not talked about on every single news channel in existence. And then you might see the plan and the agenda. The amount of videos that I take in of CCTV or cell phone footage of gangs of young black males jumping and beating random people on the street, you don't see it in the reverse. You don't see it in the reverse. Even in schools. Just today, I saw a video of a black teenager punching his white teacher directly in the face. I saw a video of a black inmate getting up out of his class, his counseling class in prison, and beating the shit out of the white woman. It's never ending. It's never ending, but it's not talked about because that's not the script. The script is divide, 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 divide. Because I would like to hope if people knew the truth about what's taking place with crime in the West, that they might actually stand up, but I know that's not true. I know that's not true because we pay $6 a gallon for gas. We pay $500,000 for a shithole house with no land. We're driving cars that fall apart as soon as you take them off the lot. We put up with everything. We put up with absolutely everything so long as we have the false choices of Coke and Pepsi, Republican, Democrat, the NBA Finals, the Super Bowl, fantasy football, baseball. As long as we have this bullshit, people aren't going to do anything. You know, people, when I talked about this stuff, people always say, oh, why don't, you know, what is it going to take? What is it going to take? Well, let's see. Until it's at everybody's fucking doorstep and it affects them deeply and personally, they're not going to care. They're not going to care because they can look at the beauty of this, the way the sun's going out behind that cloud and shining on the top of those hills over there, and it doesn't even affect their spirit. Doesn't affect their soul. It would be a backdrop for a selfie and that's it, and then they're on their way. The symbiotic relationship that we have with this beautiful, absolutely beautiful earth. Nobody cares. The masses do not care. They don't even recognize it or realize it. I saw a couple people today. This is how far gone humanity is. I saw not one, not two, but 3 people walking around outside in public wearing masks today. It's hard to accept, but most human beings right now in 2026, in the West specifically, are suffering from severe mental illness. One neuroses or another. Anxiety, depression, paranoia, agoraphobia, whatever, you know? But you can look at it and you can see it in their eyes. You can see it in their posture, their sunken face and their rounded shoulders. And then the youth is just falling victim to every little trend on social media. You got teenage boys and early 20s boys taking testosterone and peptides and all this bullshit. And the girls with their septum piercings and their eyebrow rings, it's awful. It's absolutely awful what's taking place. But again, this is just a rant and a ramble, you know, halfway through 2026 and things are about to get really, really interesting. Really interesting. But the main thing is, if you've made it this far, thank you for one. But if you've made it this far, if you don't take part in shadow work, you condemn the world to your past, to your traumas, to your regurgitation, to your automaton life, your robotic life where you're just reacting to stimuli and you're regurgitating worldviews and beliefs of people that you've met along the way, or your family, or your teachers, or your friend group, but they're not really yours. That question of how much of you is you, how much of me, is the most important question you can ask yourself. And how many people right now are taking part in introspection on a daily basis, let alone a weekly, monthly, yearly basis, or the opposite, let alone a daily basis? How many are doing it on weekly, monthly, yearly? And it's required. As a human being, it's required, because you don't have the right to be ignorant in 2026. You don't have the right to not know what's taking place in this world when the information is so readily available. And you can see what has happened in your own lifetime. You can see the loss of freedom. You can see the loss of humanity, the loss of empathy, the loss of beauty. You can see it everywhere. And it's because people refuse to take time for themselves. Everybody's always on the go. 24/7, 365, Monday through Sunday, they got to be doing something. Work, happy hour, sporting events, whatever. They're always doing something. They never just take an afternoon to themselves and just sit and be alone and be silent and turn off their fucking mind. It doesn't happen. There's always a TV on in the background. There's music on in the background. They're scrolling on their phone. When I go out to eat or when I'm sitting at dinner, the phone's nowhere in existence. It's either in my car or in the other room or somewhere. There has to be some humanity brought back to daily functions. And that's an easy one to start. If you have kids, don't let them bring their phones with them everywhere. But anyway, that's the whole point. I'm gonna get out of here. It's late. What time is it? 7:30. I still got to eat. All right. But just remember, if you condemn shadow work, if you avoid shadow work, you condemn the world. It's just the truth. It's a truism that will never go away. I hope wherever you are, you're taking care of yourself. You're outside enjoying yourself as much as possible. And just get ready, always, head on a swivel type of stuff. Because if you live in crowded places and if things start going south, you got to be ready. Having, canned food and stored food that you can heat up, or that you don't need to heat up, ample water behind, and able ways to, barricade yourself in for a little bit, or to bug out, whatever one you prefer to do, depending on where you live. You just got to be ready one way or the other. But anyway, till next time, as always, take care of yourself. Never behind.